Hi, good morning. Happy Saturday morning. Hope everyone's feeling blessed and highly favored for today. Today, the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So I just had these thoughts on All Star games. Recording this on the day of the Senior Bowl. I know I said I've been doing this, wanting to do this for a while, but the thoughts hadn't changed. And of course, we have a baby, and I'm back at work, so schedules are a bit weird. I'm a dad first. I love it. I love it. I'm a dad first, and so dad first. You know, soldier second. Writer, podcaster third, and whatnot. But with All Star games, I've been thinking about this for a while because me, from my background and the perspective that I view things, and I'm a writer. So I'm a college football centric guy. Like in terms of the college game, I view the college football game as very isolated in my view. So it's like I don't look at these things how they relate to the NFL in terms of like the sports universe as a lot of other writers, NFL scouts, draft raters or draft evaluators do. So that's where my perspective for college football and all-star games, kind of sits. And I think it works well for the podcast with Jackson and I, which will be coming back soon for with a HBCU Legacy Bowl preview. But Jackson's very draft centric, very, viewing the college game of how it relates to the NFL game. Me, I'm very college centric. Like the college game is the end all be all, it's the peak, I think, of itself, I guess, for lack of a better term. So with that being said, I do admit that I think my All Star game takes are very not isolated, but different than a lot of draft evaluators, different than a lot of college football fans in general. And I'll just preface it with that. So for me, you guys know I love the history of college football. I love the game, and All Star games are just embedded in the fabric of college football. And I think All Star games, the utility of All Star games, it's very much a part of the past, right? Where not only one with television, of course, radio, television, and now the internet, you could watch any player at any level in the country, Division 1 through Division 3, NAIA, on any given Saturday. You can watch and pull up footage of them. So, for instance, take a guy like Monty Quinn, Curry College, who was snubbed of all All Star appearances, which everyone should be ashamed of themselves for that. But he had 2,500 rushing yards, 522 yards. Back in the day, even like back before games started being streamed on the internet, we're talking early 2000s, All Star games had a very great purpose. Like, I want to see this Monty Quinn play in person. This guy that ran for 522 yards. This guy that had 2,500 rushing yards in I think 11 games. I want to see him play in an All Star game. But now with the internet, I don't have to buy tickets. All I have to do is maybe just purchase a pay per view stream. If not, maybe a free online stream since he plays Division 3, and I can watch Monty Quinn. I can see if he's the real deal as a fan. And I think a lot of people are just seeing the inconvenience of, are just weighing their options and saying, like, do I want to deal with the inconvenience of driving to a game, traveling to an All Star game where all the All Stars are at one place, or just putting on the TV where I can just watch in the comfort of my couch. Drinks are free, hot dogs aren't $9. So I think that aspect of the internet, television, and radio, of course, which has been around since before All Star games started, bringing everyone accessibility hurts All Star games in general. Um, so that's just the very basic principle of it too, right? Where like no player is a truly unknown player, honestly, and a lot of fans trade in, the home experience and the bird's eye view of television cameras for just being in person. Like I'm different. Guys like College Football Campus Tour, my friend, he's different. Like we're different because we value we think that the in person experience is very much worth pursuing. But I don't blame a lot of people for just wanting to stay home. So that's the first thing. The second thing too, um, which I'll go to like my more profound points, where it's like with these All Star games too, with that utility, a lot of these games are not really worth the squeeze in terms of profits. Because, for instance, you take the East West Shrine Bowl. I've been Freudian slipping for a few years, calling it the East West Shrine game. You take the East West Shrine Bowl, for example, and that game has a TV contract. I assume that it's not a time buy because otherwise, like the game just doesn't seem profitable through any stretch of the imagination, unless the Shriners of America are footing the bill. But you take it this year, like television contract on a Tuesday night with NFL Network, 3,291 fans, I think was the exact number in attendance. Like those games, it's just hard because they're just not profitable, right? And the games have definitely lacked their luster. Like the games are more going for utility than spectacle nowadays. Um, and so with that being said, smaller venues is a huge thing too, which makes it sad too, because for a lot of these players that play in games at the lower end, like the American Bowl, the Hula Bowl, guys from smaller schools, like they might not have ever played a game in say the Citrus Bowl, which hosted the Shrine Bowl for a long time, or they might not be have certainly there's tons of college football players back when the East West Shrine Bowl was at the Tropicana Field, home of the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, that was a very unique experience in itself, but that experience didn't pay for itself in terms of fan turnout. Like I went to the 2020 East West Shrine Bowl at Tropicana Field, which man, God is good. That was the last one at Tropicana Field, so the time was right. God's time is always right. But the whole upper deck was empty, and the field. I think only the stands that were open were just the home plate all the way up to right field. So you had a whole set of outfield stands at Tropicana Field that were just not open to the public. And even then, upper deck was empty. I don't know what the attendance figures was, but I would say around 10,000 is a good guess. And when you're trying to fly all these players from one destination to another, it gets costly. It doesn't pay for itself, which goes to my next point too, where it's like these All Star games are going for utility rather than player experience and spectacle. I mean, a lot of these games just aren't great destinations per se that players are excited for. And I think about this, right? Um, Going doing newspaper research on the Hula Bowl, looking at old rosters, it would not be a surprise to have the Hula Bowl, to have the Heisman Trophy winner from that year play in the Hula Bowl. I think Doug Flutie played after his senior Heisman Trophy season in '84. I think Tim Brown also played. I want to say that Marcus Allen played in the Hula Bowl too after he won the Heisman. Where it's like players aren't, I mean, there really is no incentive for a player to go to the Star at the at Frisco, the Ford Center at the Star, the Cowboys practice facility, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. That it just is what it is. Um, but yeah, like these games aren't destinations. It's hard for players to get excited about it, especially like with the American Bowl and the Hula Bowl. Like the American Bowl is at a 6,000 seat NAIA stadium. The Hula Bowl is at Spec Martin Stadium, which is best known for a fictional football game and a fictional football team. It's best known as the home of the SCLSU Mud Dogs from the Water Boy. So like these games aren't destinations that players are excited for. They're not really bucket list destinations, and it kind of takes away the fun and the experience of it for the players. I would think honestly, um, which is tough. Like, and I admit that we'll never have anything like the Hula and Japan Bowls ever again. I know the Ivy League tried it. I don't know why they stopped it. I can imagine it was because of profitability or something else. I'm not sure what it is, but the Ivy League brought back the Dream Bowl for a couple years in Japan. That was a cool idea. The Hula Bowl, we won't ever see anything like the Hula Bowl, I think, ever again because one, it's too expensive to run. Bringing all those players to Hawaii, and I'll get to the point later on about it. Like it's just not worth it for the players, honestly. But we'll never get anything like that again because it's just not profitable. I think it's not profitable to have an All Star game in an NFL stadium, with rental costs. I'm interested to find out how the Dream Bowl did it because the Dream Bowl was at AT&T Stadium, home of the Cowboys. Um, Only one section of stands were open, very minimal security requirements. So that could be one way to open the door for more experience based all star games, like destination based all star games for these players. Because if you run down the list of destinations for all star games, I'd say the Dream Bowl is probably the best destination for a fan of a school participating in one of those games, or a fan of a player from a school participating in one of those games. It's hard to beat AT&T Stadium because you had guys from Division III all the way up to the Group of Five participating in the game at AT&T Stadium that they otherwise would never play at ever before, ever again, or ever. Period. Then of course the Senior Bowl, FBS Stadium, Mobile, Alabama is a nice town from what I've heard, a nice city from all I've heard, and the city really rallies around that bowl game. That game has community support. And then otherwise, like I'd say, like the American Bowl and the Hula Bowl are kind of tied with destinations, and then the Daytona Stadium with the Tropical Bowl also too, which I know the Tropical Bowl had some unfortunate things happening with their founder Michael Corti passing away in early 2025. So that just adds to the challenge of these games. But probably my most profound point that goes along with destinations, um, that goes along with just the trend that things are going right now, is no one does anything just for fun, just for the experience, or just, yeah, for the experience or fun. And I think a lot of that is affecting all-star games, because you look at the East West Shrine Bowl. um, a lot of those guys opted out of the game. I didn't get an exact count, but I just know that one of the teams in the East West Shrine Bowl was running with two quarterbacks. They're running two quarterbacks deep instead of the four that they invited. So there is that, right? Once the guys get their interviews with NFL teams, they get their one-on-ones, they get their position drills, they get the practices, which are really what matters. Those guys have no incentive to play in these games. And forget the fans, right? I'm not saying as fans, we're not the ones that are out there, man in the arena, like Theodore Roosevelt once said. We're not the ones out there, fans and riders, not the ones out there participating, playing, and risking our bodies out there. We're just watching for the mere spectacle and enjoyment of the game. So the players don't owe fans anything, and that's the sad part too. The players sad, like, they don't owe fans, they don't owe the kids that go to these All-Star games anything, and that's respectable, because at the end of the day, like, it's a job. You get paid money, and college sports becoming a job has led to more self-preservation, because there's more money at stake. So even if a thing like the Hula Bowl existed, with the amount of money that players are making nowadays, they could go to Hawaii anyways. Like, with the amount of money some of these NIL deals are churning out, the millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars even. Like, if a player does not have to wait for the Hula Bowl for an excuse to go to Hawaii. And the same thing, like, I mean, the same thing goes for like these other games too, where it's like, if a player's aspirations are in the NFL or to play in the NFL, then why would they go to an All Star game to play in an NFL stadium if that's the plan all along? And so that's the thing. It's like, no one does stuff just for the fun or for the experience anymore. Everything's just about money. It's come to the point where every decision that someone makes, it's in the perspective of future money being made, which, that's how we have perspectives in real life too. But it's just come that way, even more prescient in college football and the college athletics world too, where it's like, if I play in the Hula Bowl, or if I play in the American Bowl, the East West Shrine Bowl, if I play in the East West Shrine Bowl, for just to make some kids happy, make some fans happy, and I end up getting injured, like, I am losing out on literally millions of dollars. That's a mindset the players have. And so, yeah, I think that's the most prescient thing too, and it trickles down to a lot of things. Like, I can just talk for days about how money has just ruined the fun of a lot of things that we used to find in amusing in college sports. Games in Hawaii are probably the biggest one too, where teams like Michigan, Wisconsin, Alabama, Purdue, Northwestern, from what I can remember, even Nebraska played at in Hawaii to end the season. But nowadays, with the amount of money at stake in the college football playoff, with the amount of money or with the toll on players' bodies, like, playing an extra game in Hawaii just really doesn't have any incentive other than it's fun. It's fun for the players. It's fun for the fans. But that's just the biggest thing. So I guess to recap my thoughts, honestly, these All Star games, I would love for them to survive. I love All Star games with all my heart. I am a huge All Star proponent. I love the history of All Star games, and just the throwback to a different era that we get with them, and we get all the best players in college football at one point too. But also, another perspective too, getting a lot of these seniors a last time to play big time college football, which I think that's more so with the American and the Hula Bowl, really, and the Tropical Bowl before it was postponed and focused on the 2027 edition. That's where those games focus, because a lot of those guys are UDFA level guys that probably won't play any NFL ball. Being able to suit up and play big time college football with players of repute is something that was very great, that games at the lower level of All Star games offer. But just to recap, technology, the the lack of just real good destinations have, and of course the impact money has on every player's decision, like every single decision a player makes, has just kind of hurt All Star games. And also, to a smaller note too, like, who needs to determine whether the East or the West is the best, when college football, at least at the FBS level, has melded regions together. So it's like, there really is no such thing as intersectionality, with like the Big Ten stretching from New Jersey all the way to Los Angeles. or the Big 12 stretching from Morgantown, West Virginia, and Orlando all the way to Arizona. So like there's no intersectionality. There's no need to settle which region is the which region is the best when they constantly intersect thanks to conferences and air travel. So forgot to mention that point, but I would love to know everyone's thoughts on All Star games, and yeah, I mean, hopefully, just we can. I'll have more off season content. I kind of want to just do more of these free verse off script kind of um, studio talks out here in my empty walled studio. But until next time, everyone, peace, love, and soul, the Burger Popper, and Lord bless you, Lord keep you, make his face shine upon you, and be gracious to you. Peace, love, and soul.